Hey, up here. Not going to talk very long, so pay attention. Okay, so first off, I handed this out. Okay, and I'll explain the directions to this here in a second. But what we're doing here today is we're looking at the cell cycle and the series of steps and the variety of vocabulary terms that go with those phases and the different steps to mitosis in the cell cycle. Okay, so what did I tell you the other day? What's the hardest part about this unit probably? The vocab. Okay, the vocab is probably the hardest part because there's a lot of vocab that sounds the same. There's a lot of it that you've never heard of before, and they're kind of difficult words in general. So we're going to focus in on the vocabulary today. In order to get a good understanding of the cell cycle and how the cell cycle works and why it's important, you need to understand the vocabulary first. Okay, so we're going to look at some terms today. The terms that we're going to look at are chromosome, chromatin, sister chromatids, centromere, cancer, apoptosis, cytokinesis, mitosis, G1, G2, synthesis, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, surface area, volume, spindle fibers, and centrioles. Okay, which some of these are probably review, but we're going to link them to some new terms possibly. Okay, and we're going to link them to how they also work with the cell cycle. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to define or describe what the picture or what the term means. So in each big box you have two boxes with two different terms, right? So I want you to look at each individual term, and I want you to describe or put the definition. Okay, so a lot of people just been putting the definition. That's fine. Okay, then the next thing I want you to do is I want you to draw a picture. I want you to draw a picture big enough that you can see what's going on. Some of the other people have not drawn very big pictures. I want you to be able to see and be able to label parts if you need to label parts. Okay. Then the main thing we're going to do here is I think how you can help yourselves learn the terms are you're going to look at these two terms and you're going to tell me how are they the same. So you can maybe put that in between them at the bottom. How are they the same? And then you're going to tell me in each box how are they different. So in the top box, how are chromosomes and chromatin the same? How are chromosomes and chromatin the same? Anybody?
Chromosomes are wound up, chromatin are stretched out.
Yes, exactly. Chromosomes are wound up, chromatin are stretched out, right? That's how they're different, but how are they the same? So that would be how they're different. How would they be the same?
They both have the DNA stuff.
They both contain DNA, right? They're both made up of DNA. They're both located in the cell. They're both located in the nucleus even. Okay, those are all good examples for the very first one. Okay? Then you're going to tell me, what contribution do they make to the cell cycle? How do they help with it? Okay, so first off, when do you see chromatin? Or not see them, but when is your DNA as chromatin? When is it in that form? Not prophase. What's before prophase? Interphase. So during interphase, it's going to be as chromatin, right? Can you see chromatin during interphase? No, you can't see it. So when it comes into play, the cell cycle it goes from chromatin during interphase, and then during prophase, it turns into wound up chromosomes, right? Can we see the chromosomes when they're wound up? Yeah. And what phase is that? Can you see them? Prophase. Okay? So, kind of went through the very first one there with you a little bit. Give you a little example. So you're going to do that for each pair. Okay? And I want you, like I said, I want you to make sure that you tell me what contribution does it make towards the cell cycle. What else here? So also, when you're going through this, I want you to think about what role all these parts and everything, you don't have to do it for every single one, but how do they relate to something in our everyday life? So how does the cell cycle in general, or any one of these terms that contributes to the cell cycle, how does it relate to our everyday life? What's real world about it? Right now you guys are growing. If you're growing, are your cells growing? They grow a little bit, but do they just keep growing bigger and bigger? What do? They divide and reproduce, right? So they have to go through the cell cycle. Is that real world? Okay. Did anybody get sunburned over break? Maybe not in here, but last class I had like 4 people that have their skin's peeling. Okay. When your skin peels, what happens? You damaged and you killed some cells off. What has to happen? You have to reproduce those cells, don't you? Okay. The other thing that's probably pretty important here, and the term's actually in here, is cancer. Okay, we all probably know of someone or been affected some way with cancer, and it's a big deal in our day-to-day life. Okay, I guarantee you, on most days you probably hear of something new that can cause cancer, right? Okay, so that term is in here, and you can talk about how does cancer relate to the cell cycle. Okay, so it obviously is related to the cell cycle somehow, right? So put that in that description there. Is there any questions on what I want you to do today? You guys understand the purpose of what we're doing? We're trying to figure out the best way to learn these terms, and hopefully this helps. Okay? We're going to try to compare and contrast them to one other term, so that way you can maybe group them together. Okay? Sound good? All right, go.